A good friend of mine recommended a book to me, Selling Through Manipulation.
Nope.
Not interested. I don't want it. I don't like the title. I'm not going to read it. And my answer back to this particular individual who I love dearly, I said, how about selling through love, not through manipulation? Selling through love. How about selling through inspiration? See, that's how I sell. I don't sell by manipulating. I sell by love. And I love the customer so much that I want to make sure that I know what really makes them excited and happy and thrilled. And I can see it when I talk to them. How you can be the greatest salesperson on the planet.
Welcome to the Rethink Sales Show. My name is Derek Kelly. I am joined by Jim Shorkey. And Jim, you have been in sales for over 50 years, right? And I remember you telling... No?
60 years.
60 years.
I was selling door to door when I was, I don't know, about 8 or 10. I had a paper route. I sold seeds. I sold Christmas cards. I've been selling my whole life. I really have. No kidding. No kidding. I sold seeds. I sold Christmas cards. And I was a paper boy. Wow. And I went to college at 17, so I'd have to back it up. But I'd say 10 years old, 11. I was doing this kind of a thing. And with me and my family, I said to my dad, I want a new baseball glove. Okay, well, go make some money and go buy your baseball glove. They just didn't believe in giving me money in that fashion. So they said, go get it. And I figured out a way. And I remember, this is a true story. So I got the seed catalog from Boy's Life or something. I don't even know where. And my mom was all concerned about that. She said, do we really want him doing this? And my dad said, honey, believe me, he won't do it. Just let it go. He'll last a day. He'll be done. Well, guess what? I did do it. And I sold seeds for a number of years. And actually, what happened was I developed this kind of a clientele type thing where the different neighbors looked forward to me bringing that seed catalog, and they would order their flowers and their vegetables from me.
That's crazy,
do the whole thing. And they would go. And they would get their seeds for the springtime. And also with the Christmas cards, it was a book that had Christmas cards in it. And I would go to the different people, knock on the door, and they would buy their Christmas cards from me. And then from there, I became a paper boy. And I think I was in 8th grade. I'm pretty sure. I started delivering the Standard Observer, which was an Irwin paper, a new thing at the time. So if you think about it, 8th grade is 4 years from 12th grade. So I would have been like 13. I'm thinking it was 8th grade. I really don't know. But so that's what I'm saying, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. I've been selling that long.
Man.
So continue your conversation.
Yeah, and as you've learned throughout the years, so some research that I've been doing say it's really important for the salesperson to lead the conversation or the customer will. What do you think of that? True? False? How do you do that? How do you do that the right way?
I think it's both. I think it's both. I think that for the salesperson to lead the conversation sounds to me manipulative. And I don't want that.
That's good.
So I want to lead the conversation to an extent, but I want to give the client a very substantial voice in that conversation. And the art of selling is not the art of talking. So many people get this one wrong. It's not. People tell me, I got this good buddy. He'd be a great salesman. You guys should talk to him. He's got the gift of gab. And my comeback to that is that's exactly what's going to make him or her a terrible salesperson. Selling is not about the gift of gab. Selling is about the gift of listening. So the vast majority of communication is nonverbal. And it varies. Okay, so it could be, I've heard as high as 90% of communication. This is nonverbal right here. Me using my hands, my voice tonality, my body language per se, how I'm sitting here right now. Am I in the defensive mode or am I in the open mode? And am I smiling or am I frowning? If you watch the client, they will give you a lot of nonverbal cues. So the art of selling is the art of listening. And so I want the client to have a voice in this selling conversation. So the questions that I want to ask the client, it's very clear cut for me. So the client walks in, I first of all welcome them to the dealership. This is a car sale idea. Yeah. Welcome them to the dealership. I'm so happy that you're here today. Thank you so much for coming in. Would it be okay if I gave you my business card? That way you can remember me. And if you're with your permission, I would like to write your name down. because I'm terrible with names and I don't want to forget your name. Could I write your name down? Yes, of course you can. I ask them for their name again, and I ask them how to spell their last name, and I write it down. And then they have my card. And because what happens is also in defense of the client, they're going to forget my name, and then they're going to get uncomfortable. So I don't want that. I want them to be comfortable so they can sneak a peek at my card to remember my name, and I can do the same. And then I'm going to ask the client's permission to ask them a few questions. And I structure this around the idea that we've got however many cars it is, 1,000 cars, 500 cars, 300 cars. We have a lot of cars. And I know you don't want to look at every single one of them. That would take forever. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to ask a few questions that I've designed. They're going to help me narrow down what it is that we should be looking at today, you and I combined. So would that be okay? Of course. So in this process that we call car, buying the car, owning the car, shopping for the car, yesterday, tomorrow, the next day, down the road. In this whole car relationship thing that we have, what is most important to you? And they will tell me something, and I write it down. What is next most important to you? And they tell me something, and I'm writing it down. Admittedly, I am directing the conversation, but I'm giving them a voice. And you watch how I do this. So I keep asking them until they stop me. And it might be 5 things. I never say anything else, because as soon as they say anything else, it's okay, I got enough. And I found over the years of selling that sometimes the most important thing is not the first one. Sometimes it's number 7, number 8, because they're thinking, they're in cognition right now. And so I keep asking, okay, what is next most important to you? And they tell me, what is next most important to you? So I've got a complete list. It might be 5 things, it might be 10 things, it might be 20 things, whatever that is. It's a beautiful thing. And so my next step is I asked the client very directly, you mentioned that safety was most important to you. Now, beyond the obvious, why is safety so important to you? And now I hear a story. And the story is going to get real emotional as we go down this list. So you mentioned that money was real important to you. Beyond the obvious, why is money, why is price so important to you? And I keep going. And I get these, and I'm writing notes, by the way, because they're telling me exactly how to sell them a car. So am I directing the conversation? You betcha. But am I really? Or are they directing the conversation? They're telling me how to sell them a car today. She's telling me how to sell her a car today. And if it's not today, tomorrow, the next day, whatever. But if I can figure out what's really important to them and why, and then direct my presentation around that, I'm going to be creating value in the client's mind. And the higher the value that I create, the better probability that I'm going to sell a car at some point in the future. It may not be today, but if I do my job the right way, figuring out what matters to them the most and what makes them very emotional, okay, I'm going to increase my chances of selling them a car, because I'll create so much value that I won't have to ask them to buy the car. They will be asking me to sell them the car. Does that make sense? It's a beautiful thing. So that's a long answer to a very short question, but
that sounds so surprising to me. People must not do that, because I'm thinking, I can't remember.
No, they do it terribly.
I can't remember the last time I'm like, wow, I really want to buy this thing.
Again, you say that, but if you have enough information and enough reasons why, then how do you push the button on Amazon if it's so hard?
Oh, it's not hard.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. You're telling me you just open up Amazon and, oh, there's a thing. Boop, buy. You're going in there with a reason. And something happened that caused you to say, you know what? I want to get me one of those. Right? Give me that mug. So I've presented you this mug, and on the front of it, it says, you got to wanna. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
We know what that means, right?
Yeah.
That's desire.
Yep.
Okay? And on the back of it, read
Yes,
what it says.
yes, I can.
And that's faith. And we're not talking about a spiritual faith here, folks. We're talking about faith in Jim Shorkey. And how I developed this idea is whatever it is that I want to do, I always ask myself this question: has anybody ever done this before? And the answer typically is yes. So if he can do it, I can do it. If she can do it, I can do it. So yes, I can is faith in myself. You got to wanna is desire. Okay. And so One of my favorite books on the planet, and a lot of what we do is based on this book, is Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. And so you have to just determine what rich means to you, what rich means to you. But Napoleon Hill's quote, which is my favorite quote of all time, is desire, backed by faith, knows no such word as impossible. So desire, you got to wanna, backed by faith, yes, I can, knows no such word as impossible. So how do I turn impossible into possible? I grow my faith and I grow my desire and I make it so strong that I'm going to turn impossible into possible. And how do I do that? That's the process. That's Rethink You 2.0. What do you want? Okay. Why do you want it? There's your reason why I make you cry.
What's your
and
plan?
then we seek extra counsel to figure out what those steps are. And then as we go through that process, day by day, 100% stroke recovery. My faith in my ability to have 100% stroke recovery gets stronger and stronger. My desire to have 100% stroke recovery gets stronger and stronger because of the process, because of the disciplines. And I just do that every single day to the best of my ability. And that's how I'm going to turn impossible into possible.
Thanks for sharing just about the value of leading the conversation, but really asking questions that really hear the story, the heart, the impact, right? You always say people actually want to be sold to, or why else would they be there wanting to buy a car?
Right. And I think it's a 50-50 proposition. I think really it's a question of, it's a group thing. Who leads the conversation? The customer. Who leads the conversation? I do. And it's a group thing. And so if the customer thinks I'm manipulating them, not a good idea. I'm coming from the heart. I really do want to know what's important to you. So I got to ask that question. So I'm leading that part of it, but then they're doing their part. So it's a 50-50 proposition. And if it's too much, if it's 90-10, I'm leading, they're following. I just think that sounds manipulative to me.
Yeah, because then they say yes a bunch, and then they get the car, and they're like, why did I say yes to this thing? Instead of, wow, Jim and his team really served me. He understood what I needed. He presented some different options. He really understood. They got this vehicle, really excited about it. It'll serve all these needs that we have, right, and allow us to do X, Y, Z.
And at the end of the day, if you really think about what you asked me, are you selling the car or is the customer buying the car?
Both.
Both. And I would like that one to be predominantly the client. So maybe 70-30. That they're buying the car because we've asked the right questions and they're buying it. They want to buy the car because they said safety. We've solved that. They said comfort. We've solved that. They said price. We've solved that. So we've solved their wants and needs and desires and reasons why they make them emotional, et cetera. The car is a safe car.
Yeah.
The car is priced right. The car it's beautiful. It does have a lot of power. You said power was important. On and on. So if we can satisfy and by the way, at the end of the whole thing, when I'm done and we've covered it and I showed them that we've hit all the touch points, I would say then at the end of that whole thing, no, Derek, this is what you said coming in. Is there anything else that came up in the meantime? And you would say, yeah, there is this one more thing. Let's get that resolved too. And so are they buying a car or am I selling a car? I feel like they're buying it. If we do it the right way.
Yeah, because if they were like, oh, it's been snowy here in Pennsylvania. Oh, I really want a car with all-wheel drive. Right? You're saying, great, let's find a vehicle that has all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive.
Exactly.
You're meeting them where they are. It's brilliant.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah. Jim, thank you for sharing on how to lead, how to love, and how to listen in a conversation in sales, right?
And Napoleon Hill did say something that was very profound, and I didn't understand it at first blush, but he said, in order to be a great leader, you got to first become a great follower. That's very deep.
Yeah.
And if you think about that, in order to be a great leader, and I'm talking about leading a team, you first have to become a great follower.
Wow.
The person who can't follow the great leader typically will not make a great leader himself or herself because they're not good at it.
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill does say that in the great book, Think and Grow Rich, in order to become a great leader, you have to first become a great follower. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Such good wisdom, Jim. Yeah. Jim, thank you. Guys, please like, subscribe, comment. Let us know how this content is impacting you. We're here to help people rethink sales and live out their purpose.